Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Today, I have with me my good friend, Sam Johnson.
Hi, I'm a voice teacher.
So we're really excited to share this video with you this morning. This is a group that I love. I listen to their stuff all the time. They're on my active playlist. But there's some question marks. Like, I'm not actually totally sure why I love them so much. So I'm interested to see that as we're talking through this, what your thoughts, what you're seeing. And I'll share what I kind of see as we're going too. So let's give it a go here.
Who is this?
Oh, thank you. This is Johnnyswim, and we'll be looking at their live Touching Heaven from the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles. If you ever get to go to the Orpheum Theater, it's great fun. Here we go.
All I see are angels, all these streets of gold lead to you. If touching love is touching God, no wonder I'm in heaven when I'm holding you. Simple as a song, melody in this heart. I don't know when the chorus came, where I heard it first, when it started.
Okay, so super acoustic at this point. Initial take.
I like what he's doing with his face a lot. He's got like good Billie Eilish face.
Okay, so tell me more about that. What do you mean, like?
There's this thing when I watch Billie perform where like everything she does, it looks like she's like pulling back something, or like I don't know. It feels like this all the time, and I'm seeing the same thing from him. What do you think is going on there?
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the face and kind of Billie Eilish too. It's like there's always a mystery under there, right?
Yeah.
There's something more that they're like trying to share with you. It's not like forward and at you where it's like right in your face. It's like it pulls you in. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love also like if you watch them both, like they're just smiling, right? And yeah, this is a cool kind of happy song, but regardless, it draws me and makes me feel more empathetic. Mm-hmm. I actually think she helps him a lot in this moment.
Oh yeah.
So her just relaxed body, just like she's just swaying and she's just enjoying the moment, makes his kind of more rigid, static thing feel okay. Like it doesn't feel stressed because she's making it, telling us this is a moment that's fine.
I wonder if he'd be even more stressed if she wasn't there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just kind of relaxing into it like that. His voice sounds really good too. I mean, he's spending a lot of time up around the F and right in that tricky part. But I've found a lot in my voice recently that around that area, the thing like that Billie Eilish kind of face of just pulling back a little and not giving it all, it all really helps the vocal technique. And it's been kind of nutso to me how much just changing the face and kind of playing with it like that does affect like whether I'm yelling or singing well.
Yeah. And I think you brought up a good point, and that is the face plus pulling back. Most people, we look at this face or we think about it, we think, oh, they're singing really hard. They're not. Mm-hmm. It looks intense, but they're not putting the intensity here. They're actually pulling back a little bit in the slot, and I think that's a huge trick. So let's keep going.
I won't be holding my breath, I'm not just waiting for skies to part. No. You in my place came right from the start. And you got me touching.
Some nice audience engagement,
Really good,
right?
Yeah, really good audience engagement. Her voice, I mean, that was the first time she sang, right? It's very quiet, very spoken, but she's just so hyper focused on him, letting him kind of be the star moment with this. But yeah, it is interesting how much I think that her energy of just being calm is really setting the tone for the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think people underestimate the power of the other people on stage. Mm-hmm. Really, as an audience, we look at the other people to think of how we should react. It's a Greek chorus effect, right? Where it's like you're talking to someone and you're looking at the other people in the group to see how they're feeling. If they're cool with it, okay, I'm cool. If they're freaking out and having a problem, then we do. So it makes a huge difference how we perceive that sound, what the other people on stage are doing.
I love that. Yeah.
Tell me what you're dreaming. Tell me what it is.
In general, do you find that that's a good thing to do to the people you're performing with? Yeah.
You know, I'll be honest. I think what is a good thing is letting yourself be 100% genuine on stage.
And in the moment with it, right? Like how she responded to it, right? I mean, it sure seems like it is not a thing that was pushing boundaries between them.
Right.
Other than just like, I can't believe you're doing this right now. And I love that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I went with my son to a Ben Rector concert, right? And he totally screwed up one of his own songs. But he started making up lyrics on the spot about how he's screwing up his verse.
Yep.
And he just stayed relaxed. And it made the moment, honestly, better for me than if he would have done it perfect.
Yeah.
I was more intrigued. I was more engaged. I was more like, that was awesome. So, you know, I think a lot of people, we get on stage and we think, oh, we got to be perfect.
Yeah.
We don't. We got to be human, right?
Yeah.
And I love how human they are. I guess that's probably what it comes down to, right?
It reminds me, last summer there was the opera by the river here, and I did a master class with it, and there was one singer, I think that she was like a senior in high school, and like at the very end of her aria she was looking so intense, like you're supposed to look at the end of with the play out or whatever, and then in the front row her friend made her laugh, and so she like giggled and stuff, and then immediately was back down to this. And I was like, no, just trust it and go with it. And like the next time she ran through it, like she had the same thing, and it felt so natural and so like in that character. And that's like the whole point of live music, live performance, is that if you can notice what is actually happening in the world around you and what's happening within yourself and just follow that, it's a new thing every time.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing the same thing every single day, because you're a little different and the day's a little different, it's gonna be kind of new if you can trust that instinct.
You know, a lot of people say like, how do I like find my voice? How do I find my style, my thing? That's it. Mm-hmm. That really is what it comes down to. And it's like, what? I have to be myself on stage? I have to be genuine, authentic? Yeah.
And playful.
And playful.
On command.
That's right.
In time. It's a lot. It's a big ask.
It is. It's a huge ask. I mean, we review these people. It's a big ask. It's pretty amazing. They make it look easy, and that's what makes it a professional. But, man, here we go.
It's his birthday morning, Tell me what you're dreaming. Tell me what's
Now it's just
Tell me what you're dreaming. Tell me what it is. Your dream come true. I don't need to find a hidden treasure. Ain't no hiding you.
There's some acting book I read once that was like, try doing something really hard while you're doing your scene. And like, it's the act of doing the hard thing that like makes it really interesting.
Totally.
It's kind of an interesting thing with this is like, she's so focused on like protecting herself that like, it just brings a different energy. But yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the collaboration between the two of them, because they're also collaborating with the audience. And if the audience wasn't giving back in the same way, that collaboration wouldn't really work.
Right.
That's another thing I hadn't really thought of for a long time, was just the idea that like every performance is a collaboration, even if it's by yourself, because it relies on the audience. It's that two-way thing of communication.
I think that's a great point, and I'm with you 100%. The more, we don't always have to like directly like sing to the audience, but they've always got to be part of that conversation. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that in regards to things where there is more of a fourth wall? Like with this, the audience is pretty much part of it. They're acknowledging them the whole time, but how can you include someone if it's more of a standard music theater, opera kind of setting?
You know, I think the easiest way to think about it is, say we're having a conversation and we have this camera that's the third one. we're paying attention here, but like our bodies are still oriented to the camera. So if I go like this, camera people, all of a sudden you realize like I just cut you out of this conversation. But if I keep this torso there, then it's this three-way conversation. So even though I'm not like staring and looking at you at the same time in the camera, it still feels that way, right? It still they feel like a part of the conversation.
Have you seen the show Succession?
No.
So it's this really interesting show on HBO right now, but the camera is kind of its own character, and they don't do like regular camera work where like the camera's invisible. They won't mess up the blocking of the people to like get camera angles, and so it feels like you're kind of a third person just in the room. And then they do these like reactions, like assuming, okay, this person just said something really big, and then they zoom in on them, and then it's like we're supposed to be part of it. And it's so interesting how the camera work makes you feel like you are in the room. And sometimes they'll do that zoom and then like nothing will happen because they're like just thinking something might happen, but it keeps you on your toes and engaged.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's also when we're watching videos, the things that we take for granted is the work that the cameraman is doing to give us perspective. When you're watching a live performance, you're sitting here live, they're having to do a bunch to make sure you know where to look, right? With lighting, with their action. You know, he took a step back, to give her some space so she didn't feel threatened, like, you know, like worried again. But you get the idea.
I won't be holding my breath for chariots. I'm not just waiting for skies to part. No. You've been my crystal king right from
Some of his own medicine.
And you got me touching heaven. Got me touching heaven. All right, so this is the most talented audience we've had. Say it. You're my hallelujah. Yes, you are. You're my
So I just want to take a moment and point out her like face and teeth. We look at it and she just looks happy, but we see that like upper tooth smile thing where it's like all the way back to back molars. And you know, I work with a lot of different singers, and when they first try it, often it's like, I feel like an idiot. This feels so ridiculous and over the top. And it's like, but look, does it look ridiculous? It just looks like a singer.
No, I mean, this is one of the biggest things that I think that we have a little bit of misalignment with in terms of like focus on it, because I don't really bring that up very much. However, I do recognize that a lot of people do it, like when they're singing. For me, it's less. I haven't found with my pedagogy a place for asking for that as a motivator rather than as like, yes, it is that happy thing. I'm just reacting. And my biggest thing with that is because just as soon as you do that, it just changes the formant values so much that like it's harder to isolate other things. However, once you get it in a good place, like sure, go for it. But it's like if I'm going like this and the tone quality doesn't change very much versus if every time that I move like this, the tone quality changes a lot.
Yeah.
And if you can't really do this and move it a lot without the internal stuff kind of staying the same, for me, I haven't found as much value with that. But obviously she's like so good that I bet that she can do kind of whatever she wants with the front of her mouth.
Sure. Well, and I think that's the key point is I think earlier you were saying if we change stuff in just the shape of our face, it's going to influence the sound. And I think the challenge is a lot of people, whether you do this or not, and again, this is a stylistic thing where I'm not sure I would advocate for this on everything universally either, but I would say that singing takes a more extreme expression on our face than we normally use, especially like West Coast folks where we keep everything pretty neutral. It just takes more, and when you're that engaged, might feel a little extreme and over the top. But if you're watching these top performers,
no, and just in that aspect of stuff of just doing something with your face that is different than standard resting human face, it does something different. It makes the audience more engaged. It like for me, if someone's doing that I tend to feel a thing, even if it's not the same thing they're feeling. So with some of my students who, like, when using maybe eye shifts and just images to try to motivate good faces and stuff, some of them it just doesn't do anything. And so I have had to switch over to, like, let's manufacture something with your face, make it just something different enough that it, like, differentiates this moment from the rest of it. Apply it just on your high notes, and then suddenly it feels like that's a moment that matters. And as they do that, then they're able to kind of get into it. And yeah, I mean, this upper lip thing I think is a really good one. My go-to is just like the scrunchy face, which I think has a lot in common.
Yes,
it has a lot in common, and you see most people do it. I mean, going to the Billie Eilish face kind of thing, she does it all the time, just constantly.
Right.
In a way that I really like. It draws me in.
Yeah. Gives us the feels. It helps us, love it.
He sounds awesome right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just really, really good high voice singing. He's starting on the F sharp, so he's already starting like so high that he's pretty much dealt with all of the turnover stuff, all of the transition stuff, and he can kind of just stay in there. Yeah. But with that pulling back thing, the beginning of it, that F sharp is quite a bit quieter than when he gets up to the B flat, and kind of leans into it. And so that's one of the things that's fun is, like, once you're already through the transition, you can kind of do all of the big things that screw up a transition earlier, like opening your mouth, getting a little bit louder, just releasing into it all like that. What do you think he's doing to sound so freaking good through there?
Well, I think there's a lot. I think he's not trying to overwork. He's just not trying to oversing. He's just, like, relaxed and comfortable. I think the other thing he's doing a lot is there's some really good breathing happening as he's going through there. And so the combination of those two, and also just keeping the shape he has in his mouth is this woo, right? Kind of up on top. And so it's just keeping it all smooth, and he's just kind of sighing through the entire phrase and not thinking like word.
Yeah.
No. And it just stays easy.
No, I think it's a really good point how little he's moving his mouth. And that's not like a, wow, he's so good he can do that. It's a, he's so good because he does that kind of thing. Very good.
Yeah.
And you got me touching heaven. Got me touching heaven. I'm not done singing a song. It's your fault. 'Cause you're hallelujah.
So one thing I want to point out here is that I think one of the reasons I love them is there's a lot of musicality, and we might call it conversational, we might natural accents, whatever you want to, there's this shaping to it. The cool thing is when the audience sings along, because they did it, the audience is also naturally shaping, which is super cool. So what do we learn from that? Well, I mean, maybe one of the things is just try singing along with different singers that are super expressive and have a lot, and see what your voice does.
And if you find someone who, when you sing along with them, it makes everything feel easy, maybe sing with them a lot.
Definitely. All right.
You're my hallelujah.
I just want to say we
Oh,
wrote
they're
this
married?
They're married.
You're my hallelujah.
Oh, we got to see a little one.
Are they performing in the round?
Yeah. She
I didn't even notice these people.
she keeps on like twisting around to play with them and like.
and he lost his first top two. Let's all sing it for him, okay?
You're my hallelujah. You're my hallelujah.
So the other thing is, if you like, you listen to the original song that like they have on Spotify or whatever, it's when he's a baby, and he actually sings at the end. He has this little, like, he's this riff that they're just messing around in the studio, and he's matching, and it's like, how cool
He's their
is that?
Blue Ivy.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Cool.
So,
How do you teach people how to sing harmonies? Do you work with that very much?
yeah, I do probably just like all it's like, oh, I'm in this church band or I'm in this blues band or whatever, and I've got to figure out how to sing harmonies. They want me to sing. What do I do? Honestly, the first thing I asked them to do is I asked them just to start trying to do it as they're singing along to any song on the radio. When you have people that naturally know how to do it, they just know how to do it mostly because they keep trying to do it with the radio, and then they find out what sounds good.
And there are only a certain number of patterns that really do sound good.
Right. And so they play with that. The other thing I do a lot is I'll have them get on some of these ear training apps and just hear what different intervals are and say, hey, listen to these thirds, the fourths, these fifths, above and below, and just get a feeling of what that interval is, so you can consistently be like, okay, I know this note's coming up, and here's the third. And once you find that third or the fifth or whatever, then you just follow the pattern. Then it's easy. It's usually most people, the hard thing is getting to that first note.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you do?
I mean, similar stuff. It's like, let's find a song that has a really strong counterpoint in the original recording so that you can just learn them both.
Yeah.
And just try to learn both of them as frequently as you can. And improv. Improv with the radio, record yourself back, or record yourself doing it, listen back, and just any moment that you're like, that sounds kind of good, just acknowledge it. Because you're going to get it wrong most of the time. But to be honest, I don't have like a really good systematic way of teaching people how to just inherently hear that. And I know that like in colleges, they just ask you to do so much ear training, and it's like everyone hates it, but it's the most important thing that you do. And that definitely helps. But most of the people who go to college for voice, like, already might have been singing a little bit of ear training stuff or a little bit of harmony like in their childhood. So I don't know. It's something I'm still working on. Lately, I've been doing a lot of exercises on just arpeggiating major sevenths, just to get people hearing things that are a little bit off. And it's been interesting how aware they get of like the 3 and the 5 if they have to go up to the 7, or like just changing the order of a thing that I do just so that people are thinking of more where they sit in the scale, in the key, rather than like, what is the interval that I'm looking for? Because if you're looking at this like, I'm just writing second species counterpoint all the way through, it's exhausting. It'll take you forever, and it's not going to be very good.
Right.
But if you can just like hear, oh, they're on the 3rd, so I probably, quick math, I'll go to the 6th of the scale degree and start there, and then just trust your instinct. That can be helpful. But like just feeling where you're at in a key is challenging for a lot of people, and I think that 7 is like the most strong, like, oh, it feels like it needs to go somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I love it. So I think
Good singers.
Yeah, I love them. Hope you guys, if you haven't listened to them so far, give them a try. Love their stuff. I think what I love most is just they're human.
Yeah,
they're just real, and they're bringing their real life into what they're doing, and offering us that gift. And I think that's pretty cool. We hope that you join us for future sessions, and go check out Sam's channel. I'm sure you probably already have.
I have a YouTube channel. Look up Sam Johnson.
Yeah, find Sam Johnson. He's also in the process of, am I allowed to share this yet?
Sure.
Okay, he's in the process of writing a book.
Which will come out anywhere from 2 weeks to 5 years from now.
So watch it. Stay on the edge of your seat. It's going to be awesome. Super excited about that. And you can find me on foundyourvoice.com. And that's if you want to take a voice lesson, a coaching, or do some executive coaching sessions, or have me come out and visit you. Love to do it. Hope you see you next time. Bye.